So, what happens when you take the master of horror himself, the one and only John Carpenter, and you slap his name and his entire vibe onto a chaotic, co-op, monster-blasting video game? Well, you get John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. All right, let's dive right in and break down exactly what kind of B-movie mayhem we're talking about here.
At its heart, this game is all about a specific feeling, a certain attitude. I want you to forget about realism, forget about tactical stealth. This is a co-op shooter that just cranks the volume all the way up, embracing this loud, pulpy, B-movie horror action vibe. It's less about perfect aim and more about pure, unfiltered style.
Okay, so the game's biggest hook, its main selling point, is that John Carpenter vibe. But what does that actually mean when you translate it into a video game? Let's deconstruct it and figure out what ingredients go into creating that signature atmosphere.
This quote absolutely nails it. The game isn't trying to be this cutting-edge photorealistic masterpiece. No, the whole point is to feel like some forgotten action horror flick you'd find on a beat-up VHS tape in the back of an old video store. It's all about that retro, analog, beautiful chaos. You can really break this Carpenter energy down into a few key things. First, you got that strong mood and atmosphere he's famous for, where the world itself feels like a character. Second is the pacing, that classic buildup of suspense that just, boom, explodes into total mayhem. You can feel the love for old-school genre filmmaking, and it's all wrapped up in this stylish, synthy soundtrack that gives off what I can only describe as a cool dread vibe.
All right, so we've got the vibe down. That's cool. But how does that actually translate into what you're doing minute to minute? Let's get into the gameplay loop and see how that feeling becomes action.
The mission flow here is designed to be super clear and just relentless. You drop in hot, you fight your way through swarms of monsters pouring in from every direction, you desperately try to complete your objectives while under constant pressure, and then you book it to the exit. It's a loop that is all about forward momentum, keeping the action constantly in your face. And let's be real, this is a power fantasy, through and through. The whole game is built for those moments where everything just goes loud all at once. You show up with big guns to fight even bigger monsters. The fun really comes from the sheer scale of the chaos and that feeling of being an action hero against completely impossible odds. But it's not just mindless shooting either. The objectives are there to create what you could call teamwork stories. They're specifically designed to force your squad to work together, creating this cinematic rhythm that shifts you from quiet, tense moments to these huge, explosive set pieces, just like a great action movie. And that brings us to, honestly, the most crucial part of a game like this, the co-op. Playing with a team isn't just a feature, it is the entire point. So let's look at how having a squad completely changes everything. You know, any co-op shooter like this lives or dies on its combat feel. What does that mean? Well, stuff like, do the guns actually feel powerful and satisfying to use? When all hell breaks loose, can you actually tell which enemy is the biggest threat? Are you constantly being forced to move, to reposition? And crucially, does the audio give you a heads up before a giant beast drops on your head? It's all those little details that turn pure chaos into chaos you can actually manage and enjoy. Think about the difference for a second. A standard shooter is often just about your own personal skill, right? Your aim, your movement. But in a co-op game like this, you're adding all these extra layers of teamwork. You're not just shooting. You're watching a lane for your buddy. You're calling out the big threats. You're sharing ammo. And you're pulling off those clutch, game-saving revives. It's a completely different mindset. At the end of the day, games like this are basically teamwork generators. The whole goal is to create those moments you'll be talking about later, that last-second save, the perfectly timed combo that just melts a boss, or that insane retreat where everyone is firing backwards hoping to make it out. Those are the war stories. That's the good stuff. Okay, so the action is wild, it's fun with friends, we get it. But here's the billion-dollar question for any co-op game. What's going to keep you and your friends coming back after that first weekend is over? Let's talk longevity. So how does the game keep you hooked? It's all about progression and mastery. As you play, you're going to unlock new gear, which gives you new ways to cause destruction. That lets you and your team experiment with loadouts to find that perfect synergy. And as you start cranking up the difficulty, that coordination becomes absolutely essential, which gives you this incredible sense of satisfaction as you feel your team just getting better. Ultimately, the secret sauce for a good co-op game is variety. It has to have it to survive. You need different enemies that force you to change your tactics, different objectives that keep you on your toes, and a steady stream of rewards that makes it all feel worthwhile. The goal is to make every single run feel fresh, even if you're playing the same basic mission. All right, let's bring it all home. With everything we've gone over, we can paint a really clear picture of who is going to have an absolute blast with this game and, who might want to pass on it. So, who is this actually for? Look, if your idea of a perfect night is getting some friends together to just blast through endless hordes of monsters with ridiculously over-the-top weapons, this is aimed directly at you. But if you're looking for a competitive PvP shooter or some slow, super tactical experience, this ain't it. The game knows exactly what it is, and it's not trying to be for everybody. And finally, here are the vitals, the stuff you need to know. The game is slated for a March 12th, 2026 release. It's coming to PlayStation 5, PC, and the Xbox Series X and S. And it's being developed by Saber Interactive, and you might know them from World War Z. So yeah, they've definitely got a track record with this kind of massive, large-scale co-op chaos. So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. In a world that is just flooded with hyper-realistic, super sweaty tactical shooters, is this loud, stylish, unapologetically B-movie brand of chaos exactly the kind of co-op fun that you and your friends have been missing?